I thought you were going to go get a hat.
Yeah, like I mean, it's been a really long week. And I didn't do my hair today, so of course I grabbed a hat.
That's your new thing, though, and I get it, because every single time anyone ever sees me wearing a hat, it's because I didn't want to do my bangs. What does that one say?
This is my. Did I wear the Waxworks one yet? It's
I
just
think you.
Waxworks
I don't know.
Records.
I don't know if you've worn it on the show, but you've definitely worn it around me before, because I know we've launched into a big conversation about how they give that hat to you when you're part of the subscription.
Exactly that. Yeah, I mean, like usually subscription boxes and stuff like that don't come with like good swag, like clothing wise. But I don't know. This hat's really nice. So yeah, I just started wearing hats again because like I just don't feel like doing things to my head.
Understandable. A little warning, Matt, just in case things get awkward. I think you have a little delay.
Oh, do I can fix that. I can try to plug in real quick.
I can blab. Oh, Monagle, this is a really good time for me to watch just for future consideration. How you doing? Hi, Monagle.
Blab for like a hot second. I'm gonna go plug in.
I'll say hi to everyone. We've got Ian here today. Travis is online. We've also got Matthew. Hey, everyone. I'm back for the first live show in I don't know how long. I hope you're keeping well. Perri and Matt. Matthew, I can't do math. What time is it where you are right now? I feel like it's pretty late. Steven's here.
5 from you, Perri.
5 from me. So it's 11. All right. That's kind of reasonable. So before the time change, it would have been 6, right? That's how that works. Yeah. Numbers, math. Yeah, I like words. It was never my strong suit with math. Hello, Lindsay. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. So it's only 4 hours ahead of me. I'm on the East Coast, by the way, guys. I think you guys know that at this point because of my set. It's 4 hours. Great way to end a very long week. Feel you on that, Shannon. That's what the Merri Hour is for. How you doing over there?
Do I have a delay?
You're better. You're definitely better.
Okay. I plugged in. I hardwired on that one.
Great success.
Cool. Sorry. Technical difficulties. And I also got a drink. So thank you for pointing that out. We have one leftover Absolute Vodka Soda, raspberry and lemongrass. I don't know. I just don't want a beer, but I do want booze.
All right. I left my water over there, but I was trying to be responsible and have some water tonight because I got work to do tomorrow.
Oh, I have. What do I have left to do still this weekend? I think I've done 10 South by reviews. I have one more movie left tonight, and then 10 South by reviews plus 2 extra reviews during the week because I forgot and I'm an idiot.
So
and then more.
Is your grand total for South by Southwest viewing going to be? You said 10, and then you have 2 more, so 12 movies.
I think South by viewing total, it's going to near 15.
Oh wow!
There's a few I elected not to review.
I want to know what those are so badly, but obviously,
I'm happy to talk about.
Oh, really?
When we get there. Like,
okay,
yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
It's stuff I can talk about, but like,
so
I just wouldn't like write a full review. I wouldn't write like a take review.
Oh no, I hear you. I thought it was just like for I don't know, like I strongly disliked this movie type of reasons.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Oh, okay. I can't wait to get to that now. So the agenda tonight is going to be talking about our title topic. And, I know it's very early in the year to be talking about best movies of 2022, but I think we've both seen a couple of things that we're pretty enthusiastic about at this point that we think could go all the way. Then we'll run through the South by Southwest movies we both caught. And then after that, there's Scream news that we'll touch on. And then after that, we're going to save the very end of the show for some X spoiler talk. So if you have not seen X, don't worry. You are safe for a good while. We are going to keep that at the tail end of the show. All right. So Matt, what are the movies that you're thinking could wind up being some of your favorite films of 2022? I think it might be some of the same.
We're going to share. Number 1, we're definitely going to share. Number 2, let's start with the obvious one that we've talked about on this show before, like a bunch, but I'm still, if we're talking best of the year, we're including The Fallout. Both Perri and I adore this movie very much. Again, a strange movie to say adore with and like, but like what The Fallout does is unlike most movies I have seen, and the way that it depicts something very tragic and something very hard to watch, a school shooting, and the way that it actually confronts it and has the conversation about what happens afterwards with a cast like Jenna Ortega and just all these wonderful young actors who put themselves in a honestly like terrible character position, but like still draw all these like tremendous performances out of it. So The Fallout, just honestly, I think you'll probably agree with me, but like The Fallout is going to stay up there for me. It's like nearly a perfect movie. I don't know if I'll ever watch it that often, but what it does, you cannot deny.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We've been talking about that movie and we've been having this conversation since early last year for over a year because we both saw that at Sundance in 2021 and both of us walked away from it saying, "Oh, it's going to be one of the best of the year," but then it didn't come out until 2022. So
South by. I think it was South by.
I saw you might be right.
I don't know why it doesn't matter. I think it was South by.
I'm surprised I can't figure out which one it was now.
They all blur together. Like in all honesty, like South by, Sundance, like
I'm too curious. Fallout.
Yeah, we have Fallout. It again. This doesn't matter.
You're right.
It literally doesn't matter.
It matters. It matters for my own head. It helps me file away these movies. It's South by.
For me, it was I saw Coda at Sundance and The Fallout at South by, and like those are the two movies. Like that's how I kind of like told those festivals apart, which is the only way like in my head because they were both.
Yeah. Okay. So a South by Southwest 2021 movie could go on to be our favorite movie of 2022. I'm gonna just blow up two of my other picks right now because it feels like it goes together with that. It would be a really incredible thing if 3 of my top 10 movies of 2022 wound up starring Jenna Ortega. The Fallout, no surprise here whatsoever, but I would be really, really surprised if Scream didn't make my top 10. And then on top of that, I don't know, we haven't even spoken about where you stand on X, but I do think that X is going to come with me for the rest of the year.
Sorry, I have a squeaking in the background.
So disrespectful, Rogers.
He was like, he doesn't do it until you start talking. Every time. Sorry.
We've had this conversation, but we've had this conversation before, Matt. Rogers does nothing wrong ever. So this is all right.
Rogers is perfect. Rogers is perfect. To answer your question very briefly, I think X is probably it's Ty West, correct? Is that Yes. Ty West's best movie, hands down. It is one of the best slashers we've had in a very long time, and there are many original slashers to pick from in that competition, but it still just outdoes so much. And for me, it's up there in my top 3 already. Like it is immaculate as a slasher, but the way West does it, and we'll get into it in spoiler talk, so that won't happen now. Don't worry. But like what he does very much hits everything I want right now in an original horror movie that's like going mainstream. So like, honestly, I kind of think it's better than Scream.
I'm not going to say that. I think I prefer Scream to X, but X isn't that far behind.
Yeah, no. It's literally like, it's not a large gap between them, but I had this weird like kind of sensation like when I was watching X and seeing what that was doing versus like Scream still being a tentpole that I really liked. I really liked what I saw in Scream 2022. I really liked that it came back again, but it was still just another franchise continuation. And X gave me kind of everything I've been craving in like an original horror, original slasher. And maybe that just hit me in a certain way too. Maybe like the energy and like the invigoration of being like, oh wait, like this is a mainstream original slasher we're finally getting right now. And it just hit me in a way that like Scream up here already, like good. And then it just like edged up here like, yeah, but this is what I really want to see more of.
Okay. No, I get it. I feel like I'm missing something right now. I'm not missing something right now. I know what another one is for the two of us. Holy shit. Like I have I have 4 legit contenders for my best movies of 2022. That's wild to me. I saw this movie out of Sundance. You just saw it out of South by Southwest, and it is Cha-Cha Real Smooth. I already ran a review on it, so you tell everyone what you think of this movie because you just saw it.
I did, yeah. So I think my review runs like it premieres at South by tonight. So I think my review goes up Monday. But like still, just conversationally and like what I could tweet out anyway right now. Man, it's one of those movies that is a feel good movie in every sense of the word. And it just lets characters be messy. It lets moments be moments. And it kind of defies in a way. I don't know, like everything is so heavy and over dramatic in so many movies nowadays. And the way that Cooper goes about it, like as just such a young kid making a movie about a young kid caught in a really unpredictable moment. And for those who don't know, it's literally just about a post-college grad who becomes a bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah party hyper. And he is just caught in a post-college moment where he doesn't know what to do with his life. And he just becomes like a hype man for kid parties. And he meets Dakota's character. They have a lovely relationship. And like, it's just this whole thing about like relationships being about romance or friendship or this weird in-between area. And like, none of it's bad or shameful. It's just, we're all allowed to like live how we have to in certain ways. Like it's just makes me feel good. And it's a nice, good movie. And I laughed a lot and I felt things. And it's like more movies like that. I don't know. Yeah. And it was like 90 minutes too. Like in a 90-minute-ish package too. I don't know. You can make these movies. They exist.
Yeah, I adored it for all those reasons. I was very amused by the bar bat mitzvah scene party starter idea. I kind of wish when I was growing up we had a local party starter like him. Maybe those parties would have been even more fun than they were. So I was really amused by the whole setting. And then I just found him like he fucks up and he makes mistakes and he does things that I don't agree with along the way, but he's just so damn likable. And I loved following that character, just like living and learning from everything that he experienced. And then when the movie really, like makes that message hit home that a relationship doesn't have to be a specific defined thing and you can gain so much from having a variety of different connections in life. Man, like who doesn't need that reminder every so often?
Yeah, it just like I think I wrote about in my review like how much it pushes against the stereotypes that are just beholden to like Hallmark romance movies and just the rom-coms that we see. And it's like, the end game is always like getting the girl and finding happiness, or getting the girl or guy, obviously scenario either way. But like finding happiness that is long standing and something that is around forever. And like the end game is always the same. And that's why I really like what is introduced in Cha-Cha about like soulmates. Like you just said, like multiple soulmates, and like people are good for each other at certain times. And it doesn't have to be the same rigid, monogamy that we always see. It's just very modern. It's very now. And like, I think a lot of people need to hear that who, see the norm and see what like society deems as normal and, think of themselves in a different way because they see it that way. And also going back on your thing, like, yeah, I wish all the bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs that I went to growing up, like Amelia and I were talking, we're like, was it always this lively? Like were like parents drinking this much? Like was it always like this fun in a way? Like, I don't know. I always remember like the awkward parties as a kid.
I mean, I went to my fair share of awkward parties. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where you were so much so in your kid bubble that you didn't realize the reality happening around you.
That is true. That to look back is easy.
The other cool thing about ChaChaRealSmooth is it was a Sundance premiere that was picked up by Apple. And I don't necessarily think that it's going the Coda route and it's going to wind up being an Academy Award nominee, but I really do think that it speaks to Apple's acquisition team and that they've got a good crew over there who seem to know exactly what movies to pick up out of festivals. And just to have Coda and now ChaChaRealSmooth back to back, just it makes me really excited for the future movies that they could wind up picking up down the line, because they've really picked two of my absolute favorite in recent years, and that's something else.
Yeah, and to like even go further than that, I kind of all the awards, hype that Coda is getting and all the attention it's getting right now, I think that just bodes well for their acquisitions in the future, because I was a little bit worried when Coda got picked up, I guess I would say, because like Apple to me, like they would just pick it up and bury it and then we never hear from it again. And kind of that is what happened a little bit when they still released Coda. But now that everyone is seeing it and like again, like all the awards contention and like everything it's getting the Oscar buzz, I feel like that helps now everyone else to see like, oh no, like Apple is picking up things that like will be discussed. And like you know, the method that like Apple doesn't need to market because they're Apple and you'll watch it anyway if you own it. Like I'm happy it's going that route for Coda, and I think it'll help movies like Cha-Cha in the future.
I don't necessarily think it's an issue of the Apple team not promoting what they have enough. It's like, I think it speaks to the quality of the movies that they acquire more so than anything. It's one of those situations where we all have so many streaming services. There isn't time to watch everything, and there isn't, enough money to buy subscriptions to them all for that matter. But, the power of something like Coda is, like when it hit the streaming service, it wasn't necessarily the type of thing where like, oh, a new Marvel TV show is on Disney. Like the internet shuts down and they focus on it. It was more of a matter of the movie being so strong and making such a big impression that word of mouth hit the point where, so many people out there could not see Coda. So
right.
I feel like if Apple TV can acquire enough titles like that compel people to keep talking about their movies and urging others to watch these movies, that's something that in the long run will propel it to being one of the dominant streaming services. It literally business, yes, but it is literally a perfect example of quality helping the business. So makes me happy.
Agreed. Yeah, it all works hand in hand. Yeah. So I mean, other offhanded just like favorites this year. Again, we're only in Q2, so like we're through all of a few months so far, but I really like Jackass.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm sorry. I found so much to like in Jackass, and like just looking at the list of movies I've seen so far and everything I've done, like I don't know, I'm still probably gonna remember some of those skits and what they did and how it comes together for the fact that like they are probably in their last movie together, like the veteran cast, and like they're bringing the new cast in to like kind of build them up. But we're probably not going to see that older crew together on the big screen and like doing what they did in Jackass, this year's Jackass. So like, I don't know. I think that's going to stay around for me. And like, whether it makes my top 20, whatever we're talking about, top whatever, like it's just going to hold a place in my heart throughout this year.
All right. That's one that I definitely need to see. I don't know. The only other one that I've seen that might be up there by the end of the year is probably Emily the Criminal. That was my second favorite of all the Sundance movies that I saw. But I don't know. I as much as I really do love that movie, I don't feel the same type of enthusiasm as I do for those other titles.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Fair. I don't know if I could give it the same title, like the potential best of 2022 title.
Yeah, and I guess, this is coming out in June, so we still have a little bit to get there, but Black Phone is absolutely going to be, it's going to be my top horror movies of the year, the more that I think about it. So like if I really had to go on horror right now, like where it would stand, my top 3 would probably land around in some X and then some order of like Scream and the Black Phone at this point. But like, it's good.
I'm so excited for Black Phone.
I can't wait for people to see it. I can't really say anything. Yeah, I can't say anything else right now, but like, it's so solid. It's so goddamn
solid. Do we want to hit these super chats before we run through some South by Southwest titles?
Let's grab some soups.
Going back to Seth. Seth, thank you so much for supporting the show. It's greatly appreciated. Happy Friday. Are you as hyped for everything, everywhere, all at once as I am? I just saw IGN's review and they call it a masterpiece. I had no idea it was produced by the Russos and from the directors of Swiss Army Man. I am very, very excited about this movie. It was one of those ones that was... it was a South by Southwest premiere, but it was one of the ones that was only in person. So it kind of broke my heart that I couldn't see it right away, but I'm hoping to squeeze in a screening at some point next week in New York. So I am very, very eager to see this one.
Yeah, I see it on Monday. So I go see it on Monday. Same thing. I would have loved to cover it for South by. I would have loved to have written that review, honestly, at a South by. But I was in radio Texas, so hype through the roof. I really like Cesar Man. I really like that whole creative team behind it. So multiverse movie making without being in an MCU or DCU. Yeah, come on.
Maybe we'll talk about it next week after we've both seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that plan.
We could run a review.
Wiley Todd's here. Cha-Cha is my favorite of the year by a massive margin. I saw it twice at Sundance and going to see it 2 more times at South by Southwest. So hyped. I am so incredibly jealous right now, Wiley. Enjoy that. I will be watching it that many times when it is available on Apple.
Absolutely.
And Lindsay's here. What's the better intro, Peacemaker or Yellow Jackets? I have an answer for this. Do you want me to go first, Matt?
Go for it. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I think these are both excellent show intros. Like, I never skip either of them. Peacemaker, though, isn't just a combination of cool visuals and a good song, though. I have literally in my life never seen anything like that Peacemaker introduction. And it just brings me joy. Sometimes I just put it on to watch it and smile. So I'm going Peacemaker.
It's hard to answer that because they're both doing what they do rather well. And what they do is very like, one is literally like psychological horror and also, without spoilers, getting into some other stuff in Yellow Jackets. And Peacemaker itself is dealing with American machismo and patriotism and all these like things that are now coming to a head. And I like I would watch them both equally, depending on what I want. I don't know, maybe Peacemaker a little bit, just like the nudge there. I feel like Yellow Jackets is a little more like story problem, where Peacemaker I just was like through the whole thing.
Peacemaker has Eagly, so I feel like that forces our hand on this question. All right, we've got Mega Movies here with an excellent super chat. And see what I did there? I didn't do it on purpose, but I should have pretended I did. So
you should have played it off like you did.
And it exceeded my expectations. Just so excellent. The rating from me may be X out of X. I approve. Very much approve of this.
Good work. It's good work with the chat. So we need.
All right, Matt. Let us talk about South by Southwest movies that are not ChaChaRealSmooth or X. Which ones have you seen?
I've crushed all the Midnighters. I have added a few like Master.
You saw every single Midnighter?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed.
I mean, there's like it's my goal anyway. Usually, like when I'm on the ground, I'm gonna do it, and I'm also gonna fit a bunch of movies in. So like it does feel weird covering the virtual festival because I feel like I see less, and I just kind of like focus on like seeing one, write about it. Focus like I don't have that drive of like I gotta get my review done before the next screening. But no, still, it is like legitimately. I can't wait to be at a festival where I'm like cramming movies in and cramming reviews because it keeps me going. Here I take too many breaks. I just sit around. Sometimes I'll just turn my like PlayStation on because I need a break or something. But like I never like I don't know. Like I feel like I'd rather be in person seeing these movies and make myself, and like that is true. South by Southwest has done really good with the tech aspect of it. Like not only is it easy to do the online screenings and if it's clicking RSVP and just watching it right there. But yeah, no, that's true. They do have a good screening room. So I'm hoping to get a few more in, but if we're just talking Midnighters, my top 3 hands down. I mean, X is technically a Midnighter there. I don't know why it wasn't a headliner, but like it is a Midnighter. So like that's number 1. Number 2, I just watched a movie called Hypochondriac last night, which is very good. It's basically Donnie Darko with someone going through a mental breakdown. It's like heavily reliant on like mental health and how this character first like will not accept help and what that does to him. So like it's just really good at depicting all the horrors of like going through a breakdown and like how that looks inside and like how that kind of deals with it. But it's also like super stylish. I don't know if you ever saw like any Ricky Bates Jr. movies like Excision, Trash Fire, stuff like that. But like Hypochondriac has a really good energy about it, and it keeps going, it keeps moving forward, and it does get like tragic and traumatic, but it also takes care to like put you in an entertaining horror film. So like that's another one. And then Deadstream is my number 3. I think I might have mentioned it, but like Deadstream is just it's kind of made for me. It's a live streamer, goes into a haunted house and provokes ghosts because he wants clicks, and everything that happens to him happens because he's an idiot, and he is not someone you're supposed to like. He's not someone that like is a hero by any way, but it's still a really fun kind of like boots on the ground, Sam Raimi, Evil Dead, the first one, like do it yourself horror movie. And it's cool practical effects, cool everything. The tech is good. Like I can't wait to see everyone else that takes the template of Deadstream and starts just making their own versions of it, because like again, just like Evil Dead kind of made all these copycat Cabin in the Woods movies, like to the template of Evil Dead. I definitely see Deadstream doing that for this specific subgenre.
I'm jealous you saw so many Midnighters. I never got around to watching Deadstream. I had to prioritize the movies that I was doing interviews for.
Of course.
That's pretty much what my list is limited to. Trying to think back and go in interview order. A lot of you know that I did a Q&A on this channel for the movie Mother's Little Helpers, which premiered at South by Southwest in 2019, and that director had a new movie at South by this year called Pretty Problems, and I think she's just absolutely excellent. It's like if you want to see a movie where a director can very clearly get the best out of her ensemble, go look up Kestrin Pantera's work, because I can feel it when I'm watching her films. I think both of them lean into comedy, but have a sensitive streak to them. And I think Pretty Problems leans into the comedy a little more, but there are certain themes that ring so true. It's about a couple who are kind of stuck in a rut and a routine, and they're basically at a point in their lives where they realize how far away they are from living their dreams. And then they have this chance encounter with a really wealthy woman who randomly, even though they're complete strangers, invites them to come onto their billionaire compound for a weekend. And the movie like follows these absolutely like wild parties and encounters they all have, and focuses on how this one couple processes what's happening and reassesses what they really want and if they want each other. It is a really fun watch with this, like almost like darkly comedic tinge to it that might make you even reassess what you value in your own life. I was very impressed by that movie, and I find that director and also the actor she works with just delightful. So actually not related to the quality of the movie, but do you know who's in that movie, Matt?
I don't.
Vanessa Chester's in that movie. And do you know who she played?
Oh, wait. Now I know where you're getting to.
Jurassic. She was
literally
she was so nice. Like, can you imagine how many times she's been asked about that damn gymnastics scene in The Lost World? But she indulged me. She answered my questions, and she gave great answers too. After we talked, all I could think about was how much I wanted some sort of Kelly spin-off series where it's less action adventure and more, more science-based, because even though I do love the Jurassic movies that we've gotten, I feel like some of the material from the books that's been more untapped is all of the science-based stuff, the stuff that focuses on the lab work. And I really do think there's great promise in adapting that material to, I don't know, film or series format. And if Kelly, grew up to, become someone who is super into biogenetics, I would love to see how that pans out.
Does the actress want to do that as well? Is that what you guys talked about? Okay.
So that's what we talked about. I asked her, I should have prefaced this a little better. I asked her because obviously unless she was hiding information, but I don't think that's the case. Clearly, Kelly has not, she survived the events of Lost World, but she has not returned in any of the other films, and feels to me like a character that could definitely return. So I asked her from her own perspective, what does she think Kelly did after the Lost World? Does, an experience like that traumatize you to a point where you kind of run and hide and just seek the safest environment possible? Or does it make you so linked to the dinosaurs that, you pursue a career path that is somewhat connected to them? And she says that she thinks Kelly grew up to, somewhat reluctantly follow in her father's footsteps and get into the biogenetics and STEM of it all. And I find that fascinating.
I do too. I mean, that's another way to kind of spin off without doing what's being done already. Another one I'll bring up. I didn't get to see I Love My Dad. I did. You did. Okay.
Matt, I don't like using the word cringe because I think it's overused, and I think it's often used in a very obnoxious form.
Yeah.
I don't think I've cringed more in like a 90 to 2 hour 90-minute to 2-hour running time than while watching I Love My Dad. There are so many moments in that movie where I was just shouting at my screen, like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. I have to tell everyone what it's about. So
Yeah, yeah.
I Love My Dad is actually based on a true story that the director and the star of the movie experienced. His dad essentially catfished him. He cut his dad off. And so, in order to, see what's going on in his son's life, he creates a fake online profile and friends his son. And then his son falls for the girl that he made up. And it's basically about the father keeping up the pretense and not doing this with purpose, but being in a position where he kind of has no choice but to keep furthering the relationship.
I see. I want to watch that. So, and like it got it. I think it won the audience award, right? It literally won. Like this, it did. Yeah.
I don't
So
know if
like
it was audience, but it won something.
it won. It might have actually just won the narrative feature award.
I think that's what it did win,
Yeah.
which is a big deal. That is a movie that can so easily not work. And I understand that the premise might make some people uncomfortable, but I don't know. In my opinion, I think they worked with that balance between like the comedy and also the darkness of the situation incredibly well. James Morosini is the director and the star of the movie alongside Patton Oswalt, who plays his father, and I thought they were just fantastic. I'm very, very impressed by that film.
Yeah, I wish I was able to fit that one in my schedule. Because obviously I just heard tremendous things about it. So like for me, it was like that's the kind of stuff I would have made sure I saw if I was at the festival. But like when I'm home and like I have my assignments and like just virtual, like that's what gets lost.
Wait, can I tell you one other thing that I love about that movie? So
yeah.
You know how everyone's always trying to depict text messages or like any like DMs, text messages, whatever on screen. This one does it in a way that I've never quite seen before. It's not the type of thing that other movies can replicate. It kind of goes hand in hand with the whole concept, but it was done extremely well and in a way that like was visually stimulating, but also furthered the situation story-wise and character-wise. I was very impressed by it.
That's cool because again, something that can easily be fumbled is like the representation of instant messages, whatever they are, texts on screen. So like when you find a unique way to do that, I oddly I think of movies like Nonstop, the Liam Neeson like airplane movie, and like there's just random ones that stand out as ones that do it really well. So like when you do that well, it works. And I think, and we both saw Linoleum, and I mean like Linoleum for me was one of those ones that they kind of came in. And it's a movie. Jim Gaffigan plays an astronomer who wants to be an astronaut. Let's just say it that way. So it's basically Gaffigan's character's midlife crisis, and he decides that to basically become the person he always wanted to be and just never did, to build a spaceship build a rocket in his garage. And that is like the premise for the movie. He's also like a Bill Nye kind of character who has his own science show that's on like a local network, so that plays into it a little bit, but what strikes me is for a long time throughout the movie, I wasn't really super affected by it, I guess I would say. Like, I mean, everyone's kind of playing their parts the way they should. They're doing everything right. But it just plays like a generic kind of middle-aged kind of crisis breakdown. And it doesn't have that like oomph factor until it gets to a certain point. And a lot of movies make you wait for the end and the payoff to like really show you what they're about. And I find like Monogle's in the chat and like we always like argue about it, like the kind of horror we like. And like I like slow burn movies. It's just you have to give me enough of a payoff at the end, and you have to give it to me like in a way that makes sitting through the slow burn worth it. And I use Linoleum as like a really, really positive example because again, I was so kind of mediocre on the whole experience until the last 10 minutes. And like the last 10 minutes not only hit you in a way that like is so powerful, but it makes everything else make sense. Like it's a true payoff in that like all those moments that you went through are finally paid off in this like tremendously emotional final kind of like act, we'll say. And man, like it becomes so good in that moment. And it elevates what's before it. Like you kind of you sit through, but like your patience is rewarded in a way that like I didn't expect. So like Linoleum really got me. Like that was
Yeah.
one that like I didn't expect to, but like that hit me.
I'm right there with you. It's a very difficult movie to talk about and to fully praise and give you a clear sense of why I adore it and I'm so impressed by it until you actually see it, because I don't want to spoil anything, of course, but I had a very similar experience with it, and that ending just like truly knocked the wind out of me. And then
Like
I felt compelled to go right back to the beginning, and I watched it a second time, and it is like a real feat that they managed to pull that off, because when you go back and see how everything aligns, it is all there and it's really well done, and that is a massive acting challenge for that cast, but they really just assembled a pitch perfect team to pull that off, and they very much do. I am just like, I was totally wowed by it when I realized what was happening.
yeah, 100%. So like that one again, Linoleum stuck with me. Other ones I did, man, like I watched. Did you watch Emergency at Sundance?
No, I missed it at both
Okay.
festivals.
Okay. So Emergency is a movie about minority college students, and they find a white woman in their house, passed out, drunk, and they cannot call the cops for obvious reasons and fears that they have that are very real. And it is very much like a buddy college comedy throughout, but it also carries a message with it that is played at the end, and like it's really got some like blind spotting and dear white people vibes going on. But like I really liked it, and I say that because right after that I watched Soft and Quiet. And do you know what Soft and Quiet is?
I don't know what it is, but I like saw some Twitter chatter about it.
And I followed the movie about minorities having to go through what is essentially like a comedic version of hell, with Soft and Quiet, which is a movie about Blumhouse bought it. Like this is a Blumhouse movie. It's gonna come out. I don't know what they're gonna do with it, but in the non-spoilery terms, I can just tell you that it's a group of like-minded women who all are like-minded in the sense that multiculturalism is terrible, going about their meeting, and basically a gigantic satire about how this is dangerous and how this is horrifying. And it does a very good job of showing why it's dangerous and horrifying. But I don't know how to recommend this movie because like it's almost unrecommendable. So like I had the most whiplash experience of watching Emergency and Soft and Quiet back to back. Like I gave them both positive reviews, but one of them I hope everyone sees Emergency, which will stream on Amazon Prime, and Soft and Quiet. I don't know how else to say. It's very good at what it does, but I don't know who wants to see what it does.
Okay. That's interesting. I don't know. Maybe I feel like that kind of tease makes me so curious that now I do really want to see it.
It's a lot. I everything is a spoiler. I can't like say anything because anything would be a spoiler, but like it is a movie of triggers over and over again and again. Like it's meant to show you the worst of what can happen if we allow people like this to like have their safe spaces, because it's not about having a safe space with them. It's about finding people like them and like making sure other people start acting like they do. I don't know. It's
every white person should watch this movie. Every person of color should be aware of a giant fat trigger warning before watching this movie.
To repeat, every white person should watch this movie. Everyone else should know that this movie is a goddamn lot and it comes with a huge trigger warning. And if you turn it off, absolutely, that there's no argument there.
Okay. All right. We have another super chat here. Mega Movies wants to know if we've seen Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. We have not, because this was one of those ones that was exclusively in person. I was pretty bummed about it too, but hopefully they'll announce a release date and we'll get to see it. I did get to interview Maria Bakalova though, who is in Bodies, 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 and also another movie that is like, she is fantastic in this movie. It's Women Do Cry, and it is heavy stuff. If you are one of many out there, I would assume, who have kind of boxed her into the comedy genre just because, I think Borat, subsequent movie film, is her only worldwide release. So when you go from a movie like that, I feel like it's only natural to be curious about how much range someone really has. And if you compare the two movies, you definitely see it. But In our conversation, she also teased bodies, bodies, bodies a good deal. And it makes me very excited. That interview goes up tomorrow morning, I believe. You know what else goes up tomorrow morning, Matt? Can I tease one more thing? I have a ladies' night with Brittany Snow for X, and I'm very excited about that one. It's not in tomorrow's episode, but you can bet I asked her about the movie Prom Night. Do you like Prom Night, the remake?
I gotta rewatch that one. Maybe I'll do that as my next remake column.
I wonder if it's just because it's got some serious problems. Like there are certain moments where I sit and I watch it and I'm like, who let that happen? But it is one of those movies that just got absolutely eviscerated by critics when it came out. And, like I understand it's not the greatest movie ever, but it still felt like a slightly unfair lashing there.
Or maybe you mean it was I
was that when I saw it though.
No, if it was a 2000 horror remake, it got an unfair critical lashing. Because if you go back and look at every single one of those 2000s horror remakes, they're all like 20%, 30%.
Did I? Oh, thank you for catching that, Matt. Yeah. Sorry about that, Wiley. Did you check out the Tony Hawk documentary? It was incredible and super real. Also, would like to know if X is a devil horror movie in the spoiler chat, please. Want to know if I want to watch it. We will put a pin in that and get to that in that conversation. Wiley, thank you for doing this. And to anyone out there, if we ever miss your super chats, call us out and let us know, and we will make sure to go back and get to it ASAP. I did not see the Tony Hawk documentary, Matt. Did you?
I did not either. Unfortunately, documentaries are covered by somebody else on both outlets that I write for South by 4. So it's a bummer because I never get to them, and I always try to put them to the side and say I'm going to watch these someday. But I was actually telling Amelia the only documentaries I can prioritize these days are food-based documentaries. I don't know. You give me something food-based or chef-based, and that's the stuff that goes to me. But I don't know. Played a lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I like my Tony Hawk, so maybe I'll make time for this one. Also, do you want to hear some breaking news?
Oh no, you have an evil grin on your face. What is it?
No, it's just hilarious. Star Wars. Christopher Lloyd joins the Mandalorian season 3.
Okay,
that just broke. That's fun. I like that. Why not?
All right, I'm all for it. Do we want to briefly talk about this Scream news before we do?
Yeah, we can jump into Scream. We can jump a little Scream first.
Okay. So the news is that we have a release date. That's part one. Does the article you sent me have the release date in there?
March 31st, I believe, because it sets itself up to be the best opening movie for South by.
I mean,
just saying.
Yeah, 2023. So it's got a date. I'm excited. I get a little nervous when they date something before they start shooting, but I understand why they have to do it. They do it with the big franchise films, and I trust the team. Hope all goes well, and I'm glad that we don't have that long to wait for another Scream movie. The other big piece of Scream news that we got came from a Variety interview with Courtney Cox, who's out and about right now promoting her show Shining Vale that we talked about last week. And during that chat, she revealed that she has a script for Scream 6 and that production is going to begin in Canada sometime in June. And the actual quote was, "I got the script yesterday and I haven't read it yet. I just got it. And I'm so used to getting, Shining Vale scripts, which are 26 pages. And I've got to read a script. I'm so excited to read it." And then it says, Cox said before making a joke about plot spoilers, "I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything. Let me tell you the killer." So I didn't listen to the full interview. I kind of do want to jump into that at some point, but that would signal that she has some sort of involvement in the new movie. And we've spoken at great length about how Scream 5 could have closed the door on the remaining original characters. And I thought they very much could get away with that, and was kind of curious to see them try, because that would be a pretty big feat if they're able to accomplish that. But as I've always said, I don't mind seeing them return. So the fact that this does signal a likely return for her is very exciting. But I do feel the need to point out she is someone who's been part of this franchise since the very beginning. So just reading again, I did not listen to the full interview. Just based on this quote, who knows how big this role is? Who knows if there is a role at all? Perhaps she was just given the script to read it. It seems likely that if she has the script, she's going to be in it. I'm just putting up, the warning signals because like nothing specific has been super locked in confirmed. So I'm just like hesitant to go too far with this yet.
Yeah, I mean, one has to assume that if she is reading the script, again, it's just assumptions, and that's what gets us in trouble. But like, one has to assume she's probably going to be in it. But yeah, I think that could be what you said before, though, the sense that like, I don't know, maybe they do a very small role for her, and maybe it is just a little thing, and they are going to like back on the actual like younger cast and how that goes, like, which would be wonderful. I don't know if they do that, but like, what you've done in the last Scream movie, I'm fine with, obviously, and I've enjoyed the last Scream movie, but like, whatever you do, I'm in for. I don't know. There's no make or break of like, Courtney Cox being in it or not being in it. Like, I was curious to see how they would do it without her if they tried that. I don't think they will, because again, like, what's going to keep people coming back? I mean, it's familiar faces.
I think a lot now, though. I think that question.
That is true. That is true.
It's not like it's not a similar thing with other franchises where like if you lose the OGs, people aren't going to come back. They have some like very popular rising stars in that ensemble, and I think they won over a lot of like the hardcore OG fans with this new installment. So I feel like they're in good position to keep their fan base no matter who's involved.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things we always have to think about is like there was about a decade between 4 and 5. So like totally new audiences could be coming in just from 4 and 5 alone. So it's like, that seemed like the best time to start over with a new cast in a way. And like you've hooked a bunch of younger audiences with the new cast, but you're right. Like you're just going to keep the old cast, like you're going to keep the old audience coming back to see the familiar faces. But then again, like the new audience now is just like so latched on to the Ortegas and everyone that's in Scream.
All right. We have
best of both worlds.
We have one more topic to get to before we do our spoilers.
First,
but don't touch on Stevens yet. We'll save that for after. So first, Caleb's here. So that means we have to talk football stuff. Is there any new news other than what Steven mentioned?
I mean, yeah, there's some big shit. Like literally Devontae Adams getting
all
traded.
Over the place. Oh, he went to the Raiders, right?
He got traded to the Raiders to free up cap space, which is an insane. Like, sure, you freed up $20 million, but like, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers needs a tool. Like what? Like, I don't know. That's an insane trade to me. I don't really get 100%. There's also just, again, like the little things coming. I mean, not getting to the question that Steven has posed yet, but like Baker saying he's out. Like Baker saying, like, I demand a trade. I'm done with this. Like, whether they got Watson or not. And I don't know if the deal is finalized, but I know they are finalizing it. But like Baker did say I'm out, so like that puts another.
I'll loop Steven's question in and keep going back to the two of them. So
like this is wild as shit. I mean, like, because Atlanta was pushing so hard, and they were essentially going to like put Matt Ryan on the market and get Deshaun because Deshaun is an Atlanta person, and like they went all out to bring him there and like try to win him over. And I thought yesterday that Deshaun said he's not going to the Browns. So like I thought that was announced that the Browns were out of the running. And I bet you what happened is that happens. Then Baker says, I'm out anyway, screw you. And I bet the Browns panicked and now they just threw everything at him. And the deal is literally it's $250 million guaranteed over 5 years. And they're trading away 3 draft picks to the Texans because he's still a Texan and he needs to be traded. So they're giving the Texans 5 draft picks, 3 of which are first rounders. Like they literally are just giving everything away to get a player who is who he is. He can still be, he is no longer getting charged criminally, but the NFL still has to level their payment. Wow. They have to level their punishment. And their punishment could be, which is insane to say this out loud, anywhere between 1 game and 9 games, depending on what they decide. So this is now on them. Maybe it could be worse, but let's just remember Josh Gordon was suspended for like 3 years for smoking pot.
Yeah. Jeez. Oh man, it's gonna be an interesting season.
Yep.
All right, how about we talk about X spoilers now? Actually, before we do that, I have more Patreon shout outs to give.
Sorry,
Not
this
only
is
did-
230 million. It was 230. 5-year, 230 million.
Hmm.
Guaranteed money.
All right,
Like,
that's
literally, he's guaranteed that money.
How about we talk about things that we love, like these wonderful people who support this very channel: Avery, Craig, Paul, and we also have Michael, Travis, and Christy. Thank you. Thank you. There's not enough thank yous that I could give these people because they are so instrumental in keeping this whole operation up and running. So thank you for your support to all 6 of you. Now, the time has come where we must say goodbye to anyone who has not seen X, because the last 10 minutes of the show will be all X spoilers. So this is it. We will give you a moment to exit the live stream. You can push pause, go see X, and then you can come back and press play, and it'll start right here, and then you can hear the conversation. All right, Matt.
I had to restart. I did a shot.
Okay.
I had to restart my brain.
You do what you got to do. I'm just going to get right into it and say one of the biggest things right out the gate here. How long did it take you to realize that Mia Goth was Pearl? Because it took me a ridiculously long time, and I even had to like write the PR people after, and I'm like, that was Mia Goth, right?
It took me a while too. It's straight up like it took me basically until towards the end, and then it all clicked. And like they do such a good job. It's Weta Workshop, so of course, like they're in New Zealand. Weta is doing all the practical effects, and like they look so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a long time. I'm just gonna admit that there was no.
One of the best part, like the prosthetic work and the makeup work is very, very impressive. One of my favorite things about the fact that Ty West has Mia Goth playing both Maxine and Pearl is how it serves the story and the themes of it. You could do something like that as a fun gimmick, but when it feeds into the overall meaning of a movie as well as this does, that makes all the difference. And that is a major, if not like the tippy top reason why I cannot stop thinking about X, because it connects Pearl and it connects Pearl to Maxine, and it leaves you in this position of wondering what's going to happen to Maxine. Is she really going to leave that farm having survived and determined to achieve her dreams so she doesn't end up like that? Or is she, no matter what happens in her life, destined to do that cycle and return to where Pearl was at the end of her life? It's just like it's a thing that has kind of messed with my head ever since I saw the movie. I have not stopped thinking about it, and it's also, I know it's a very like violent and bloody movie, but it's kind of an inspirational thing too, because it just reminds you not to wallow in the things that you didn't get in life, that there's still more to it. And
that is certainly one way of looking at it.
Sometimes I need movies to make me think of those things so I don't go down those darker paths. So the fact that this movie did that, like, I kind of appreciate it.
Yeah, and I bring up Andrew's comment here because this is true. I could tell it was makeup.
Yeah.
I didn't put together it was Mia until like, again, like I said, like well into it. And I thought of like, Midnight Mass and stuff like that. Like that, it immediately came to mind like, oh, you're playing a trick here. Like there's gonna be some kind of like de-aging or something like that. There's a reason for this. But like the reason being Mia Goth is now gonna play Pearl in the prequel too is like perfect.
Yeah.
Like that is also perfect meaning of like doing all this stuff in addition to storytelling, as you said before.
The thing that I think made it so easy to not realize it was Mia Goth is because I think for the first half of the movie, Pearl is framed in a way that it doesn't put that much focus on all the prosthetic work too, where you don't really think about it until the movie wants you to think about it. And that's why it's so powerful.
The first shot is her all the way up on the porch and, Mia Goth's character all the way down at the bunkhouse. And like, they have the long distance wave and stuff like that. Everything is, you're right. Everything's kind of separated until they want you to put like, then finally they get like face to face and they have their like split perspective face off. And you're like, oh shit. All right. I got it now.
That scene with the two of them in the bed, just like wrecked me. There were many moments in this movie where I'm like, no, no. And then so many things I loved. I loved the opening. I loved the bookend. And that's something that could very easily blow up in your face and not work. But
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
something about the cinematography in that opening that made sure I never forgot each part of the crime scene. And then the entire movie, I was trying to figure out who was going to end up where. And it was really fun. Sick and twisted fun, but really fun.
Because like you said, West is really smart the way he does that,
Mhm.
because your first intention is to think that RJ is the first body that we see. So like you see a body out in the driveway, like, yeah, that's RJ's body. But then like, you know, that body goes away and you're like, oh shit, you're already playing like with my head. And going into the basement and like the explicit shot of getting the sheriff's reaction to whatever's in the basement. And then you get Jenna Ortega's character going down in the basement and you're like, oh, she's screwed.
Yeah.
She's going to die in that basement. Like she's going to see something terrible and die. Like, everything is so methodical in this movie, in the way that Wes makes it, like down to the cinematography, down to like the editing as well, like just the editing cuts that keep scares so hyper. Like you think you're away from a scene and all of a sudden it like does that in your face jump cut, split it back. And like, is it a cheap tactic? I don't know, in a way maybe, but every decision helps the horror and like it elevates what we are terrified of.
It helps the horror, and again, it gets into other themes that I know Ty West was trying to explore in this movie. Like the movie is also meant to be a celebration of filmmaking. And I feel like with the era that the movie is set in, that goes hand in hand with those kinds of editing techniques that you just brought up. Another moment that reminds me of how well they make this work with that opening and revealing where all the bodies were was the alligator stuff. It kept coming up and they kept teasing it, and it was keeping me on my toes and making me so excited to see who finally got eaten by the alligator. And then it happens and the scene is so great.
Yeah, it's when if you can give me aquatic horror in a slasher, in like a sleazy 80s and 70s slasher, like you're checking all my boxes. I don't understand. And again, doing it well, and again, it's all practical. And so we got to watch the movie in 35 millimeter at the New Beverly. That's how we saw it. And we were so so happy to stay for a conversation between Eli Roth and Ty West. But in any case, we got to hear Ty West talk about some of his inspirations, and what you're saying about it being a movie about filmmaking is something he stressed like so much. He's like, I was thinking about, first of all, he's like, I wanted to make a horror slasher about a horror movie crew, but he's like, that's so meta. He's like, it's so meta and on the nose. I couldn't. He's like, there's no way to do it. So he's like, of course, adult filmmaking is like hand in hand with horror, the way they're the outsider art forms. And like, he's like, it was just so easy to take that. And I was able to like say my commentary, but also do it through the appreciation of some kind of seedy, disgusting art form and do it that way. So he's like, it was so easy to do that. And like, again, it plays into everything. And like the avant-garde director saying like, I can make a better movie like that. But like Ty West kind of does do that. Like the cinematography, like we talk about, like it's so good. It's so well framed. Like the aspect ratio in the beginning with that doorway as the camera pulls in and it reveals so much. Like everything is for a reason. And that doesn't happen so often. Like every single decision is for a reason.
Well, the fact that they're making an adult movie, I also think really leans into that idea of what it means to get older and lose your beauty very well too. Those two things wound up pairing very well to me, where you know this young group of filmmakers have a certain idea of what it means to be sexy and have sex, and then you've got Pearl and her husband who have kind of lost that element of their life, and seeing those two things butting heads throughout the movie was very, I thought, very powerful, and it really had something to say with the story that it was telling, and I very much appreciated that. And then also just the idea of, you know, what it means to have the power of beauty, and then how it feels to have that power stripped away and what it can do to a person. So, you know, I very much understand that one can make assumptions about a horror movie that's about making an adult movie and maybe think that that concept could get pushed too far. It is all done with such great purpose here. And that is like a signature to Ty West's work in general. It doesn't matter what kind of story he's telling. There's always a very, very on point attempt attention to detail, where everything you're seeing and hearing means something. And I feel like that's why he's one of my favorite genre filmmakers working right now.
And then, so just to answer the other part of Wiley's
Yeah.
super chat from before, is it devil and demon based? We can say no at the moment. I mean, no, it is.
No.
I don't know what they're gonna. Well, I don't know what
No.
they're gonna do with the prequel. This movie is not. I'm just
No,
curious
they're
what
not.
the prequel
It's
does.
not. Honestly, I think if they did introduce anything along those lines, it would take away from the movie. It's like
Yeah,
Pearl
I
and
agree.
her husband aren't superpowered individuals. You know, they're not like Michael Myers picking off these filmmakers one by one. They're humans who have, you know, struggled through life, and they have like very relatable flaws that get taken to like the nth degree and spark this violent nature in them. So I think if you gave them any, you know, like demonic supernatural qualities, it wouldn't work with this. So I hope the prequel
So no,
doesn't.
the answer is
at
no.
all.
This is
Yeah.
just straight slasher fare with. I do kind of like the idea to go back to Pearl and Howard, the senior killers of the film. They don't like overpower anyone. I do laugh because Andrew brought up Kid Cudi's death. Like, how do you let a Marine or how does a Marine let Howard get the jump on him? But throughout the film, also Ty West does a great job not putting these like you said, these aren't supernatural killers. Like, these are just two older people who start killing people, and there's never a point where like they overwhelm anyone. They just they just do a good job getting the jump on people. And then when it finally comes down to the fact that, like, yes, they are old people, like the fact that Howard dies due to the heart attack and Jenna Ortega's character, like, just having that final like death rattle, or the fact that Pearl goes flying back and breaks her hip just from shooting the shotgun. It's all such great touches because it shows that Ty West is thinking about everything. Like, he's thinking about every single thing in this movie, and to have it end that way still, like, yeah, your killers the whole time were not these slasher icons. They were just two old people that kept murdering everyone else around them. And it's like, to see them both die in those ways is like, it's such a nice chef's kiss where it's like, no, that's who these are. Like, literally, he's going to have a heart attack and die because he got scared.
My God, Matt, I love this movie so much.
I really do enjoy it so much. And, you know, again, to kind of like not belabor this, but it's everything I kind of want in like a newer slasher film, because it goes right back to like the old school, but it does it in a way that's like also kind of sex positive, and like it has a lot of good conversation about what's happening in the film. Because any sleazy 70s, 80s horror movie that was made in that time would not be treating the characters the same way. Like, this is very much a modern take on an old school formula, and that's what we need more of. Like, this is great. You can exist in the world where it is gross and the kills are like inspired by fucking like Bava and shit like that. But in the same sense, you can also be having these great conversations, like, and empowering your characters in a way. So like, it's a good balance. It's a real good balance.
Man, Ty West is always delivering. It's been a while since his last film, but he's been delivering in the TV sphere in the meantime. But
yes,
you know, I don't know. Movies first in my heart, I guess. But like, what's the difference with storytelling anyway? No matter what format you choose, I just want Ty West to keep making stuff. I don't care what format.
Yeah.
Just give me more stuff. All right. That is our episode this week, because I'm on the East Coast and it is dinner time with my family. I mean, maybe.
There's a devil.
Devil. Do you want to plug anything before we say goodbye, Matt?
I mean, just the usual, at Donato Bomb on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Instagram, where I keep talking about horror and other movies as seen by my South by Southwest coverage. That is on /film and IGN.
I will do. Tomorrow is going to be the Maria Bakalova interview and also the Brittany Snow Ladies Night. Then I think on Sunday, I'm going to run my Linoleum interview with Ray Seahorn, the director, Colin, and also Jim Gaffigan. Then I have an interview for the movie To Leslie that stars Andrea Riseborough. She's incredible in it. What else do I have? I have an interview with the cast of Spin Me Around. It was a huge group, Matt. I was so scared. Allison Brie, Aubrey Plaza, Alessandra Nivola, Molly Shannon, and Jeff Baina, the director. I was like shaking in my boots. I hope you don't see it in the video, but you can watch that video on the Clatter Interviews YouTube channel. All right. That's it. We're out of here.
There
Everybody,
you go.
have a good weekend. We will see you next Friday.